Hey everybody, Mr. Eric here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at true wireless earbuds, and I'm just going to give you some thoughts on some ones I've tried recently. I've got a bunch of IEMs on hand right now, and as usual, I'm kind of trying to answer for myself the question just which ones are right for me and which ones work well for what I want to use them with. So I've got, specifically for today, I've got 3 different true wireless solutions, and then we'll kind of talk about some other headphones that you might throw in the mix to compare with these, although they're not true wireless solutions. So let's dig in. What are we looking at today? Well, first of all, we've got the Apple Airpods Pro, right? Probably the default, probably the standard that most people are going to be looking at least if they're bought into the Apple ecosystem. Then we've got the Soundcore Liberty Neos. Now these ones are the ones I have the most experience with. I've owned these things for probably 2 years now and have used that. Like, I've just got tons and tons of time on these, so I'm very, very familiar with those. And then the other ones are these little true wireless solution, and these are itty bitty little things here, and I ended up getting them bundled with some other stuff that I bought used, and so yeah, why not throw them into the mix here. So let's dig into each of these real fast, and I'll just kind of go over each of them in general, and then we'll talk about kind of some final thoughts, and then we'll dig into some comparisons of some different things like some wired IEMs and some over-ear Bluetooth wireless headsets. So let's talk first. I'd like to start with the Soundcore Liberty Neos, just because, again, this is kind of like my go-to. I've had this one for a long time, and I know what it's like to use it. So the case, I'm just going to give you like a size comparison here to the AirPods case, because it is a little bit bigger than the AirPods case, especially when you look at the thickness aspect of it. But I would say that it's still a very pocketable size, right? Like, it's not. I don't have any issue sticking this in my pocket. If you don't like things in your pockets, the AirPods might be a better choice because it is a little bit thinner and slips in there a little bit better. But in general, I didn't find it to have any problems. Basically, you've got like a little charge port. This is micro USB. I don't know if there's an updated model. I can maybe take a look and see, but micro USB. Open it up. You can see you've got on the case, you've got charge lights on the front here. This tells you how much battery the case has, and then you can see both the buds light up. We can pop those out. Sorry, they probably look a little gross, but this is the size of them. You can use these one at a time, but you can only use the right bud one at a time. Then the other bud will automatically turn on if you pull it out, but the left bud will not work on its own, which is one of the little quirks with this system. Again, you can see that the case here, just like all these, it's wireless and magnetic, so it snaps in and charges it up. As far as battery life goes on these, I'm the type of person that like plugs my stuff in pretty much like every night to make sure that it's all good to go. So, but I will tell you that I've never had a battery issue with these, pretty much no matter how long I've used them, or even if I forgot to charge them. So it's good. It's what it needs to be. It's decent. You maybe will have to dig in a little bit more, find another review if you're looking to use these like all day, 8 hours. I don't know about that in that case. So, but for me, if you're just popping them in to use them for like a couple hours at a time, and then you're charging it on a pretty regular basis at night, or even just like a couple times a week, I don't think you're gonna have any problem with these. Now, sound-wise, the Liberty Neos, I think of the true wireless solutions I have here, so the AirPods Pro, and these ones, these are my favorite. I would call it like a subdued consumer sound signature, which basically means it's a bit V-shaped. The bass is a little more emphasized than maybe I would personally like. But that being said, I did not find anything offensive. I think it's a very safe choice for a tuning on a true wireless system, and really I find it quite enjoyable, even though this only costs, I think maybe like 30-40 bucks is what I paid for it 2 years ago. I'll have to go through and see like what it costs now or what the newer model costs, but really I like the sound on this. It is, you know, it is of course more compressed than a more expensive IEM, like wired IEM solution, but still I don't find anything offensive. I find it clear, and in general I think it works really, really well. You know, real quick here, let me pop these guys in just so you can kind of see, like, as far as how far it sticks out, what that looks like. This is what you're looking like here. So they do stick out a little bit, you know, from your ears, but all in all, it's pretty subtle. I find these to be extremely comfortable. I've never had any comfort issues with them, and I've always just used them with the stock tips. I get a good seal. These actually isolate extremely well, to the point that I use them like when I'm mowing my yard, or if I'm using like power tools and things like that. Like I just put these in and listen to music and use that, and I find that that deadens the sound around me pretty darn good, more so than any of these other ones that I got here. And it even, I'd say, works better than the AirPods Pro with noise cancellation on. Okay, so let's talk next. Let's get this one out of the way. These are from a company called Me, and you know, pretty similar size case-wise to the AirPods Pro here. It is still thicker though. Still thicker, definitely doesn't feel as nice. Very lightweight, cheap feeling plastic. You can see though, these buds, again, same case structure, which means, you know, it's wireless, and you know, it's got this one also has a micro USB in to charge. There is no wireless charging on this one or the Soundcore Liberty Neos, FYI. But these are the smallest ones by far. Very tiny. If we put these in the ear, you know, you can barely see them in there. That being said, I do not find them as comfortable as the Liberty Neos. I just never got as good of a fit with them. So like the Liberty Neo, only the right bud will work one at a time on these as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So sound-wise, this is where this one's gonna go downhill. I mean, as far as functions and things go, they all pretty much function in a very similar way, right? These ones feel the cheapest. They sound the worst. I just thought the sound was very, very compressed, muffled. I mean, just not a lot of detail there, and everything just sounds really sloppy and kind of mixed together, so there's not very good separation or anything on these. Again, I just got these with a package, so I'll look for a price and I'll put it up here. I'm not even sure what it is off the top of my head, but pretty much I would just say avoid these. I would not recommend buying these at all. So I would, if you're getting anything and you're looking for a cheap, like the Soundcore is definitely the way to go. All right. So let's talk AirPods Pro. Now again, this one's going to be probably like the default that most iOS users are going to look at, either this or the regular AirPods. So I think this is the one that we want to spend maybe a little bit more time with, talking about the pros and cons of using these as your daily driver, maybe headphones just in general, or, you know, as your true wireless solution. So we can gloss over the build here really quick. I mean, you know, it's an Apple product, so its design is pretty much like unparalleled in how good it functions and the quality feel of everything. Like, it's definitely the case feels the nicest. The function is the best as far as, you know, when you put these in, it pretty much instantly, if you're working with any sort of Apple ecosystem device, they're recognized immediately. You can use either pod at a time, you know, you can switch them, you can take them out, it all just works, right? If you're using an iOS device anyway, which is all I've used them with, and my Mac, they just work. And that's, you know, when you buy an Apple product, that's what you expect, and that's really what they have going for them. And just the premium feel, right? Also, the compactness of this case can't be overstated. It slips into your pocket effortlessly. You don't even notice it's in there. Just wonderful user experience as far as just like using the product, okay? Now, that being said, let's talk about just like charging and things like that. So lightning port to charge or wireless charging, so you can just set this down on like a wireless charging pad. I really do like that feature and have really grown to love wireless charging. So like for instance, I can throw my iPhone onto like the MagSafe charger, snaps on it, charges, perfect, awesome. Then I've got an older wireless charger that I used to use with my Galaxy phone, and I can set these on it, and then boom, they're both charged. When I'm ready to grab them, I just grab them and go. Really super convenient to use things like that. Now, what we want to talk about next is sound quality and actual kind of like these ones actually have active noise canceling on them and have kind of some other features like built in. And that's what we want to dig into with these. Now, sound quality on the AirPods Pro, it's not terrible, but it's also not great. And definitely going from the Liberty Neo to the AirPods Pro, I thought it was worse. Like, I think the AirPods Pro are definitely a worse sounding headphone for me anyway. I didn't find that anything was really off as far as like the frequency response goes. Like, I think it's a pretty well balanced sound, but it just sounds like a little bit harsh and muffled to me. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as the Mi solution, which thank goodness, because these are probably like $20 or something like that. But it also, like, I don't feel matched the Liberty Neo in just the detail and the clarity that it was able to present. This is probably a more balanced setup, where the Liberty Neo is a more consumer-oriented sound, again, more of like a bass focus and things like that, but I don't really feel like you're getting any more detail out of the AirPods Pro. And there's also a really noticeable hiss, like amplifier hiss in the AirPods Pro. Now that's noticeable on these other two, but for me it was much more noticeable on the AirPods Pro, and especially if you're using it in ANC mode, you are hearing, you're hearing an amplifier hiss, but you're also kind of hearing, I don't know, like another kind of like masking static, at least in my set. Now, here's a big caveat with any of the things I'm saying about the AirPods Pro here is I bought these refurbished and they were not Apple refurbished. So all of this honestly could be moot, and it could be that like whoever refurbished these just did a bad job of it and put in bad parts, and maybe I'm not getting the Apple AirPods experience. So that's it. But let me tell you this, like, I paid like $130 for these and I'm disappointed. If this is what the AirPods Pro sound like and like how the ANC and stuff works for $200, then this to me is a clear no. Now, that being said, the sound of these, once you kind of get used to it, it doesn't bother me as much. Like, after I listened to these exclusively for like a few hours, I was kind of like, okay, these sound all right, but again, coming from either one of my nicer wired IEMs or coming from my Soundcore Liberty Neo, I don't like the sound of the AirPods Pro, which I was kind of surprised about. I will say too that I do not think the noise canceling on these works very well. Again, this could be like a defect from my refurbished model that I purchased, but I thought I would take the Soundcore Liberty Neo just with the isolation, like the passive isolation, over this any day. The noise canceling on these any day. And I did own Sony's True Wireless, like XM3 earbuds for a while, but those things were really big and bulky. And again, I thought that the sound quality wasn't that great on those, although they have a much better tuning process for like EQ and things like that. but I still didn't think the ANC worked that well on those, which I was kind of surprised about, because the over-ear XM3 here, which I did, I'll link, you know, to it. I did like a Bluetooth headphone thing. The ANC on these is like astoundingly good. So I think, you know, if ANC is your focus and you really need that, I would look at like the Sony over-ears, or maybe even like the Bose over-ears and things like that. Like, I've heard good things about those too, but I haven't actually tried those for myself. But if ANC is like your main thing, I would say over-ears is the way to go, at least from my experience. There may be a true wireless out there that's better, maybe unrefurbished, untampered with AirPods Pro are better, but I didn't find either the AirPods Pro ANC or the Sony ANC for the true wireless system very good. And you know, it probably like, so these are my Tautronics, like these were like a $40 ANC headset that I got a couple of years ago. And I would say like the noise canceling on this is comparable to the noise canceling on this, which is to say, I don't know, it does work, like it does muffle outside sounds to a certain extent, but it's not, it doesn't like block it completely. Like in the Sonys, like they legit noise cancel. Where these are kind of just like a noise dampening, I would say, as far as that goes. So true wireless, for me, you know, I'm trying a couple of things, wonder if there's anything better out there than just like my Liberty Neos, but for me, for this specific use case, like these are my favorite, okay? I like these. Like I said, I've just beat them up, I've used the heck out of them, and after 2 years, they're still working great, and I still prefer them, especially for tasks like mowing and working with power tools and things like that, where they isolate really well and protect my hearing, and I can listen to other stuff while I'm doing that. That being said, the sound quality on these is okay, but it's still not great. So that's where some of these other things that I've got on the desk here come into play, because I've got several different IEMs here that I'm testing, wired IEMs. I've actually got a lot of them that come in around the $100 price range. And if you want to spend, you know, if you're thinking about AirPods Pro, if you spend the same amount you would on this and get something like a BTR5 that I've got here, an Ear Studio ES100, and you pair it with even like a set of, this is the KZ KDX, these are like $12, $13, you're gonna get better sound quality than any of these true wireless solutions that I've presented here. So if you don't mind hooking like a Bluetooth DAC amp onto your pocket or shirt and using wired IEMs, I think you can get some pretty tremendous sound out of that for under $200, or even under, you know, well, in the case of the KZ KDX, you're spending like 12, 13 bucks, and you could probably just use those with a dongle out of your phone, and you're gonna get better audio quality than any of these true wireless solutions. So there's lots to explore with wired IEMs, and I would probably go as far with my experience right now saying that wired IEMs are probably the best value in audio, in my experience. You can get some extremely good audio for not a lot of money, and you know, if you're interested in more wired IEMs, I will be doing a bunch of those reviews this summer, so consider subscribing to the channel if that's the case. I hope that was helpful. For me, like I said, Liberty Neos, I'm just sticking with these. They work, and they function, and they're good for just popping them in to go do something real quick, or listen to iPods or whatever. They're just a functional device that's not very expensive and it's decent. AirPods Pro are a pass for me. If you're a super Apple person, maybe you still want to give them a shot, but mine are going back. This cheapo Me system, no good. I wouldn't waste your time. Get the Liberty Neos instead. And then again, wired stuff, good. If you need ANC, right, look at the Sonys or the Bose over-ears, I think is the way to go. As always, feel free to drop questions, comments, opinions down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next videos. Again, keep a lookout for all those wired IEM videos coming up throughout the summer. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one.